to Spectrum News at 4. We are Anyakan, coming to you live from the beautiful hills of Ibiakuran. Let's take a look at the headlines. Buhari says federal government has completed 266 ecological projects since 2015. Senate confirms Yahaya as co-chairman of Unclaimed Funds Trust Fund. Plus, China endures summer of extreme weather as scorching heat wave cause havoc. We'll bring you details of the stories and more in a moment. First in our news this afternoon is a report that President Muhammadu Buhari has revealed that the federal government between 2015 and 2022 completed at least 266 projects, according to a statement signed by his special advisor and media and publicity, Febi Adeshina. Buhari said this at the launch of a 554-page compendium of ecological projects undertaken by his administration shortly before the commencement of the Federal Executive Council meeting, while directing government ministries, departments and agencies to give adequate publicity to the administration's achievements in this area. He also revealed that 332 ecological projects were approved since 2015, out of which 266 were accomplished, while the remaining 66 are at different stages of completion. The president also commended the secretary to the government of the Federation, Boss Mustafa, and the management teams of the Ecological Project Office for the judicious use of available resources for the effective implementation of approved projects, as well as the initiative for publication. In the statement, Buhari urged state and local governments to judiciously use their shares of the Ecological Fund strictly for ecological projects towards addressing the ecological problems in the areas. In the meantime, the federal government has placed the Federal Ministry of Health, Sport Health Services at the nation's borders on red alert following Ghana's confirmation of its first outbreak of the highly infectious Marburg virus. This is as medical experts have disease control NCDC, Dr. Ifedayo Adetifa, said a risk assessment has been conducted and the country is at a moderate risk of the disease. Recall that the World Health Organization confirmed the outbreak on the 17th of July after two unrelated people died after testing positive for the virus. The two patients from the Southern Ashanti region had showed symptoms including diarrhea, fever, nausea and vomiting, increased awareness of the disease. The NMA President Dr. Uche Ojinma said there should be increased vigilance and surveillance at the entry points. To legislative matters now, where Nigerian Senate has confirmed Umar Yahaya as co-chairman of the Governing Council of Unclaimed Funds Trust Fund today in Abuja. The confirmation followed a satisfactory report by the Senate Committee Chairman on Banking, Insurance and Other Financial Institutions, Senator Uba Sani. Senator Sani, in his report, asserted that the nominee was screened in line with the parliamentary procedure and found competent to serve in the capacity President Muhammadu Buhari nominated him. He said Umar Yahaya was not opposed to a petition for any reason. Hence, Senate has confirmed the nomination of Joe Aniku Michael Onhiani as the Director General of the Infrastructure Concession Regulatory Commission, ICRC. The nominee's confirmation followed the consideration of the Committee on Works. Chairman of the committee, Senator Adamu Aliero, PDP Kebbi Central, in his presentation, said Onhiani was asked questions on the mandate of ICRC and how he would apply the knowledge and experience gathered over time to enhance the workings of the commission. The lawmaker informed his colleagues that the nominee responded intelligently and provided satisfactory answers to all questions asked. To judicial matters now, where the Court of Appeal in Akure, Ondo State, has affirmed the Osun State Governor-elect Ademola Adeleke as the rightful People's Democratic Party (PDP) governorship candidate in the just concluded election. The the court affirmed Adeleke as PDP's governorship. Abayemi initially instituted a suit against Adeleke before Federal High Court in Osogbo, seeking to declare him PDP's governorship candidate in the just concluded governorship election in the state. In education, the president of the Academic Staff Union of Universities, Professor Emmanuel Osodike, has slammed the federal government for failing to prioritize education in Nigeria, stating that the woes bedeviling the sector will not end until the ruling elite are forced to train their children in public schools. Osodike, while dismissing the 2-week ultimatum issued to ministers by President, signed the agreement reached with the university lecturers. The ASU president also noted that Nigeria is also losing its professionals in the medical line to other countries, thereby leading to brain drain in the education sector. Recall that President Buhari yesterday directed the education minister to prefer a solution to the continued industrial action by the lecturers and report back to him in 2 weeks. He also instructed the Minister of Labour and Employment, Chris Ngige, as well as the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Boss Mustafa, who were also present, to be in attendance in all the meetings to speedily resolve the crisis. While the ASU president sees the president's action as a welcome development, he is of the opinion that the government is still unserious with on the betterment of National Youth Service Corps, a civil society organization, Center for Social Justice, Equity and Transparency, CESJET, has again called on President Buhari to sign into law the National Youth Service Corps NYSC Trust Fund bill that was recently passed by the National Assembly. Executive Secretary of SEJET, Isaac Ipa, who spoke at a news conference in Abuja, said provisions of the NYSC Trust Fund TF will address challenges faced by the youthful population. He said SEJET's acceptance of the NYSC TF was born out of its rich provisions which touched on critical youth development
areas. It suffices to add that the NYSC Trust Fund will serve as a game changer regarding youth development and empowerment in our country. This much has been highlighted by various stakeholders as well positioned to harness the potential of the youth in our great country. And we could not agree less, given its peculiarities of the times and the needs for government to explore ways to harness the potential of youths in the quest of sustainable growth and development.
Any pension fund administrator, PENCOM's head of corporate services, Abdul Kadir Dahiru, stated this in Abuja while speaking at a stakeholders forum organized by the Public Compliance Commission, noting that the clarification was in response to complaints that a large chunk of the government's recurrent spending was by borrowing from pension funds. Dahiru observed that instead of the government borrowing pension funds, it was the investment teams of pension fund administrators that invest in government bonds to enhance their returns and risk considerations. Recall that some stakeholders had raised the alarm that the government was borrowing from pension funds, posing threat to contributors. According to stakeholders, the safety of the fund is part of the scheme. On electoral matters, the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has promised that the 2023 general election will be the best in the chain of elections it has conducted so far. The Commission's assurance comes on the heels of the commendations it got from the smooth conduct of the Osun State governorship elections last Saturday. INEC Chairman Professor Mahmood Yakubu spoke when the hosted delegations of the International Republican Institute, IRI, and the National Democratic Institute, NDI, in Abuja. Will be INEC's best elections ever. Meanwhile, leader of the delegation, who is the Secretary of State for State of Ohio in the United States of America, Frank LaRusse, hailed INEC for its efforts at improving on the conduct of elections in Nigeria.
Still a lot of work to do, and we assure you that we'll continue to work not only hard but even harder to deliver the 2023 general elections.
In politics, the All Progressives Congress presidential. This comes barely 2 weeks after the national leader of the party picked the lawmaker as his vice presidential candidate. Tinubu, who is a former Lagos State governor, alongside other APC stalwarts, including the party's national chairman Abdullahi Adamu, officially unveiled Shatima at the Shehu Musa Yar'Adua Center in Abuja today. Meanwhile, Senator Ademola Adeleke has received his set capital. Recall that Adeleke, candidate of the People's Democratic Party (PDP), was announced the winner of the election on Sunday. He emerged the winner of the Osun governorship election with 403,371 votes. Adeleke emerged the winner of the Osun governorship election by polling the highest vote to beat his major contender, Governor Boyega Oyetola. Back here, Akwa Ibom State Government has approved the payment of gratuity to retired primary school teachers in the state. The acting chairman of the State Universal Basic Education Board, SUBEB, Inyobong Akpan, who disclosed this, said the payment of the gratuity will be done in batches. According to him, the commitment of the government is determined to clear the backlog of gratuities in the state. The acting board chairman further noted that government will ensure orderliness in the payment of the backlog of gratuities to the affected retirees. He therefore thanked Governor Emmanuel for taking steps to settle the backlog of the gratuities. Akpan also applauded the head of civil service, Elda Ifyong, Commissioner for Education, Idong Tiebet, and the Commissioner for Local Government and Chieftaincy Affairs, Frank Achibong, for facilitating the payment process. Meanwhile, the coalition of retired primary school teachers and their next of kin have applauded the state government's effort in approving the payment of gratuity to retired primary school teachers in the state. However, they are appealing for more commitment from the government to ameliorating the sufferings of its members. Public Relations Officer of the association to clear the backlog of debt owed its members. Our correspondent has the rest of this report.
Teachers and next of kin Akwa Ibom State chapter have over time protested the non-payment of pension to primary school retirees and backlog of debt owed its members by the state government. In response, the government has approved the immediate release of funds for the payment of gratuity to retired primary school teachers in the state. However, the public relations officer of the association, Ubong Major, who commended the government for the released fund, lamented the neglect suffered by members of the...
You see it, what is the total indebtedness? We in which the government have released 1 billion naira. You see, this issue of the payment of entitlement to the retired teachers, it has become an endemic in the state, which left so many Akwa Ibomites to be, a kind of flabbergasted and dumbfounded. The problem is that the total indebtedness is 87,894,486.76 million naira. But now the government just released the sum of 1 billion naira, in which does that even pay when we say that half bread is better than none? This one is not even up to should I say more especially the elderly people that depend on pension and gratuity. Many of them, they are just depending for that for survival. You don't play politics for it.
He further advocated for commitments to settle the backlog of accumulated debt to further ameliorate the suffering of its members.
I'm pleading with this government, this administration. That we have some months left for this administration to go. Please, Your Excellency, I really appreciate you have released 1 billion naira. Please, Your Excellency, if you can as well release 1 billion naira each month before the end of this administration, it will go a long way. Or you just release 5 billion naira, it will go a long way because these people are dying.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
The coalition of retired primary school teachers and next of kin are also calling on other labor unions to help solicit that the government attend to their plights. Edidion Martin, reporting for Spectrum Television. The coalition...
Gatroa and Martha Karua face each other for a deputy presidential debate in Nairobi, with the subject of corruption dominating the meeting. Recall that Gatroa was pinned on corruption last year. The former aide of President Uhuru Kenyatta was charged with acquiring more than $60 million in unexplained circumstances. On her part, Karoa, while defending her previous record as a minister, activist and member of parliament, said she would execute her roles in accordance with the law. A tacit attack on Ruto, who fell out with President Uhuru Kenyatta at the beginning of the Quasi Alliance, has vowed to keep away.
I think we really need to come clean, because if you cannot account for your wealth, you cannot be a good steward of the money of the people of Kenya.
I don't have billions, I have 203 million into that account. And that is part of my wealth. I'm worth 800 million, minus the 200 they are holding, another 600.
We have repeatedly said with my captain that whether it's my daughter, my blood relative, or a member of the opposing camp, the law must apply equally to all. And everybody must have a swift chance to clear their name in court or for the court to declare them guilty.
It looks like he doesn't remember. Nobody is asking him to go, it's the Constitution. But he's trying to circumvent the Constitution to plant a proxy government to continue governing from outside State House through Raila Odinga.
On the foreign scene, Sri Lanka's members of parliament are voting for a new president after their former leader fled the country and quit amid protests over the country's economic crisis. Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe, currently interim leader, has been nominated for the role by the ruling party and is seen as the front runner. However, the Prime Minister faces a serious challenge from Dulas, a decent ruling party member of parliament backed by the main opposition, with protesters asking Ranil to go as he was left in charge by the fleeing president Gotabaya Rajapaksa. Whoever is elected by parliament will have a mandate to serve out the rest of Mr. Rajapaksa's term, which ends in November 2024. Sri Lanka is effectively bankrupt and facing acute shortages of food, fuel and other basic supplies. The country needs a stable government to continue stalled negotiations with the International Monetary Fund, IMF, for a bailout package. Reports say a total of 225 parliamentarians will cast their vote, adding that a contender who receives more than half of the vote will win the position. Willie Friske wins. In another development, heat records have toppled, with firefighters facing new blazes as much of Western Europe baked in a grueling heat wave. The UK, normally used to milder climates, has seen temperatures of more than 40 degrees Celsius for the first time. Meanwhile, Germany saw its hottest day of the year so far, while Portugal raised its death toll after days of excess heat. Recall that deadly wildfires have swept the continent, and the UN's World Meteorological Organization, WMO, has warned the worst is yet to come. Still in the foreign scene, China is enduring a summer of extreme weather as scorching heat wave has caused havoc, with towns and farmlands taken over by floods, homes and roads buried by landslides, and crops withering under scorching heat. Scientists have been warning for years that the climate crisis would amplify extreme weather, making it deadlier and more frequent. Reports say China's rainy season started in May, and the heavy rainstorms have brought severe floodings and landslides to large swaths of southern China, killing dozens of people, displacing millions, and causing economic losses running into billions of yuan and Guangxi provinces. Still to come in the news. Nigeria Football Federation plans to prepare Super Falcons for World Cup. Do stay with us. Committee MPC of the Central Bank of Nigeria (CBN) has again raised the monetary policy rate from 13% to 14%. This comes barely 1 week after the National Bureau of Statistics put its June inflation figure for the economy at 18.6%, the highest in 5 years. Speaking shortly after a two-day MPC meeting, which closed yesterday in Lagos, the governor of CBN, Godwin, argued that a new rate hike was necessary to put the economy on track. He, however, expressed the committee's unrelenting resolve to restore price stability. Second hike in the lending rate at the MPC meeting reflected a panic situation on the part of the banking regulator, with a signal of tougher times in the economy.
Still remains in focus. MPC advised the bank's management to continue to use the development finance tools to support the agriculture and manufacturing sectors in Nigeria. Committee thus voted unanimously to raise the monetary policy rate, MPR. One member voted to increase the MPR by 150 basis points, 6 members by 100 basis points, 1 member by 75 basis points, and 3 members by 15% to 14%. And in summary, MPC voted as follows. 1. Increase MPR from 14% from 13. 2. Retain the asymmetric corridor at plus 100 and minus 700 basis points around the MPR. 3. Retain the CRR at 27.5%.
$1 billion is spent annually on medical and education tourism. Speaking during the Monetary Policy Committee MPC meeting in Lagos, he said education and health sectors are critical sectors that the CBN will continue to support. According to Emefiele, the CBN has intervened in the health sector to support the sector to render services to the people. He added that Nigeria cannot afford to relegate both sectors to the background. He called on government and relevant stakeholders to do their best to ensure medical and educational tourism is stopped and the forex used for other critical sectors of the economy.
The credit of the Buhari administration that we have, through these interventions, helped to impact positively on the lives of Nigerians. Yes, we have. During COVID-19, beginning around the period of pandemic, we unveiled a couple of products. Is it the targeted credit facility, where people who are impacted, who could not work, who could not earn a living, got some little money, 400, 500,000 naira, to set up their small businesses? Is it the AXMIS, where you want to set up a hairdressing salon, or a sewing business, or a barber shop, or a block making factory? You are able to access finance and you don't have to know anybody in CBN to access this facility. We have done a couple in agriculture, we have done in healthcare, all to see to how we can be less reliant on imported items.
Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala wants Nigeria and Africa to strengthen their manufacturing capacities in order to produce vaccines. Okonjo-Iweala said this during her visit to the Minister of State for Industry, Trade and Investment, Mariam Katagum, in Abuja, as a follow-up to the 12th WTO Ministerial Conference in Geneva, Switzerland. Okonjo-Iweala said the events of COVID-19 were developed countries place restrictions on vaccines going to developing nations should serve as an eye-opener to all. She noted that Africa imported 99% of its vaccines and 95% of pharmaceutical products, stressing that this was not good enough. She further said that the trade-related aspects of intellectual property rights vaccines, urging Nigeria to rise up to the occasion. In sports, the Nigeria Football Federation (NFF) has held the heroic outing of the Super Falcons at the 2022 Women's Africa Cup of Nations after their semi-final loss to host Morocco, just as the Federation has also secured top friendly matches for the team in readiness for the 2023 FIFA World Cup. President of the Nigeria Football Federation, Amaju Melvin Pinnick, who said Nigeria would have been happy to be in the final to chase a 10th title, stressed that the Falcons showed their strength by playing 50 minutes of a game with only 9 players without being defeated. Recall that while playing Morocco, the expulsion of midfielder Halimat Ayinde in the 49th minute reduced Nigeria to 10 players, while that of forward Rashidat Ajibade in the 70th minute cut Nigeria's playing strength to 9 during the thrilling encounter. Meanwhile, the team is scheduled to play the United States women's national team in Kansas City and Washington, D.C. in September, and also to fly to Japan to take on the Asian team in Kobe in October. Still in sports, UNICEL, organizers of the prestigious UNICEL Boot Award, has announced Rivers United forward Chijioke Okunito as winner of the award for the just concluded 2021/2022 Nigeria Professional Football League season. Instituted by West Africa's largest independent chemical as well as oil and gas engineering solutions company, the UNICEL Boot Award seeks to instill greatness in players in the domestic top flight and celebrate the success story. High-flying Akunito scored 19 goals during the just concluded season to finish ahead of other combatants as the UNICEL Boot Award winner. On our entertainment news, Nigerian star Dapo Oyebanjo, popularly known as D'banj, has opened up on his humble beginnings before fame. The singer, who said it was not all bed of roses while he lived in the United Kingdom, revealed that he had to take up a security job where he worked 12 hours of a night to make a living. The Cocoa Master, during a chat with newsmen, noted that he knew he would become a star, so he decided to take the night shift. Recall that D'banj became a big Afro-pop star after he returned to Nigeria with his friend and erstwhile business partner Don Jazzy. They formed Mohit Records and signed 5 music acts before the end of the record label after the split as business partners. Still on entertainment, Nigerian singer Stanley Omar, popularly known as Omale, has opened up about his battle with depression. Omale is a series of tweets on Tuesday said he battled depression while recording his album. And that's all we have for you at this time. Do ensure to follow us on social media, all of which you can find on our website, spectrumtv.ng. You have been watching Spectrum News at 4. I am Uyaya Nekin. Thanks for watching and do enjoy the rest of your evening.